In China, a common feeling of insecurity persists among the populace when faced with dire health issues without financial backup, as life-threatening illnesses without sufficient funds often equate to a death sentence. On April 17th, a heart-wrenching scene unfolded on the streets of Guangdong, where a man and his daughter were found sleeping outdoors. A passerby, moved by compassion, approached and learned that the family was homeless due to the father spending all their savings on his wife's treatment for terminal illness.
Brother, what happened? Why are you and your child sleeping on the street? We have nowhere else to go. Have you eaten? Let me take you to get some food. Where's your wife? She ran away, fearing I might call the police. My wife is in the late stages of uterine cancer and also suffers from a mental disorder. She probably didn't want to burden us.
The man explained that he currently has no money to treat his wife. He is hoping to find someone to care for his child while he earns money working on a construction site. His child's education has also been disrupted due to his wife's illness. The scenario is all too common in China. Another distressing video from a hospital shows a man slapping himself in desperation for not being able to afford his father's medical treatment. In the video, a gravely ill woman shares her resignation. I've almost made up my mind. If the prognosis is not good, I won't pursue treatment. Spending endlessly doesn't guarantee my recovery, and eventually there would be no money left for my children. If I pass away and my husband has no money, what will become of them? An elderly father sits crying at the hospital entrance after learning of his son's illness.
I told the doctor, if it comes to it, take half my liver for him. My son is such a good boy, but he's fallen seriously ill, costing us over 100,000 yuan so far. I'm 65 now and just don't know what to do.
In a poignant scene, a son kneels in the street, begging his severely ill mother to agree to treatment. However, she refuses, worrying about the financial burden.
Let's go for the treatment.
No, I won't.
Money's not a problem, as long as you get better.
Just take me home.
I'm not taking you home. Sit tight.
I definitely won't go.
I have to take you there tonight. Even if it kills me, I won't let you go home.
Such stories are widespread in China, where financial desperation for medical expenses often drives people to extreme measures. In another instance, a boy's tears flow as his uncle agrees to lend the money needed for his school fees after his mother, drained of all savings due to medical expenses, is unable to afford his education.
My mom needs to borrow some money. Can you help?
How much do you need?
1,396 yuan for my school fees.
I'll transfer it to your mom in a bit. If you run out of money, tell me, and I'll help you out.
Okay.
How's your mom feeling? Still having headaches?
Yes.
Make sure you don't argue with her.
Okay.
A man discovered that his mother had colorectal cancer, leaving him to weep silently alone in his car, overwhelmed by the prognosis and the looming medical costs.
Results just came back, and they were as expected. Regardless of whether the treatment is successful or not, we must proceed with it.
Beyond the heartbreak, he faces the daunting challenge of exorbitant medical expenses. A father, drained of all his funds while seeking medical help for his child, finds himself with no food or shelter, forced to sleep on the streets with his child, surviving only on the kindness of strangers. The issue of unaffordable medical costs is a chronic problem in China. The lack of adequate healthcare services provided by the government has turned medical expenses into a significant burden for the Chinese people. Often, a serious illness in the family can financially cripple multiple generations. Recently, during a visit to China, US Secretary of the Treasury Janet Yellen suggested that Chinese leaders support boosting domestic consumption. Ironically, her comments spread online just as a heart-wrenching video went viral. A 13-year-old girl from Henan with leukemia urged her parents to cease her treatment after they spent 800,000 yuan over 3 years with little hope for recovery. She pleaded to save the money for her siblings, sparking a heated online debate and making the proposal to increase domestic spending seem out of touch. In the video, the girl with short hair and big eyes said to the camera, "Mom, stop getting treatment for me. Save the money for my siblings. I'm not worth it." The girl invited a video blogger to her home to persuade her mother to stop the treatment.
叔叔，你来了。
啊，就你一个人在家呀？
对。
是你妈妈喊我来的，还是说你喊我来的呀？
是我喊你来的。
那你让我来干嘛呢？
我想让你帮我劝劝我妈妈，不要再救我了。
你咋了？
今年13岁了，化疗3年多了， 也花了爸爸妈妈将近80多万，我不想让他们再为我借钱了。
你怎么知道爸爸妈妈在借钱呢？
我偷听到的，看到妈妈一边哭一边打电话借钱，我很心疼他们。
所以你不想让爸爸妈妈救你了？
对。
那你不害怕吗？
我害怕，因为我还有弟弟妹妹，要是把钱都花在我身上，他们怎么办呀？我想到他们，我就不害怕了。
你都这样了，还想着弟弟妹妹呀？
对呀，万一治不好还花钱，还不如把钱留给弟弟妹妹。万一我不在了，他们也能好好照顾爸爸妈妈。
She further expresses a wish for the video to be shared widely, hoping that the collective voice of others might sway her mother's decision, indicating the depths of her despair and fatigue from the ongoing medical procedures. The regional media outlet Qilu Evening News further highlighted this tragic situation by sharing excerpts from the video and interviewing the girl's mother, who stated that she would never give up. The story of this 13-year-old girl with leukemia who has exhausted her family's savings of over 800,000 yuan has sparked widespread discussion both within China and internationally. While many express sympathy and inquire how they can help, others criticize the severe shortcomings of China's healthcare system. This story is not an isolated incident. In Tianjin, a 12-year-old girl, Qi Yu-chen, also suffers from leukemia. Her father, Qi Yi-chun, has spent over 1.6 million yuan on her treatment since her symptoms appeared shortly after receiving Chinese-made COVID-19 vaccinations at the end of 2021. Despite his ongoing petitions for official recognition of the vaccine's role in her illness, no official acknowledgement has been forthcoming. Qi sold their house and exhausted all possible financial resources to pay for his daughter's medical costs. In a detailed account shared with the media, Qi outlined the significant financial sacrifices his family has made to treat his daughter's illness. Qi disclosed that he has sold the house for 690,000 yuan, secured about 230,000 yuan in subsidies from local government levels in Tianjin, and borrowed an additional 500,000 yuan from friends. Qi described his family as typical residents of a suburban area in Tianjin. Before his daughter's illness, he supported his family through miscellaneous jobs, earning about 40,000 to 50,000 yuan annually. However, since her diagnosis, he has been unable to work regularly, relying on social welfare to sustain their day-to-day life. He also participates in the new Rural Cooperative Medical Scheme, a healthcare insurance program that has been merged with urban and rural resident health insurance, but the reimbursement rates for medical expenses are distressingly low. He explained his financial plight, where he was only able to reclaim 30% of medical costs previously. However, with welfare support now, he can reclaim 60%. Despite this increase, the funds are grossly inadequate to cover his daughter's medical expenses, and with no end in sight for her treatment, the future costs remain uncertain and daunting. Qi expressed his frustration that he has no idea how much more money will be needed. The likelihood of her illness recurring is high, and if it does, it could negate all their efforts so far. Her condition might deteriorate further than before, as previous treatments have severely weakened her body. To manage these medical costs, his family has had to cut down on all but the most essential expenses. According to a healthcare professional in China, cases like that of the 13-year-old girl from Henan who pleaded with her parents to stop her medical treatment due to financial strains are not uncommon. This issue is significantly tied to the inadequacies of China's healthcare insurance system. Under an imperfect system, countless tragedies have arisen where individuals simply cannot afford necessary medical care. One desperate measure reported includes a woman posting online offering to marry anyone who can help fund her father's medical expenses. My father is currently in the ICU, needing 10,000 to 20,000 yuan daily. Whoever helps him, I will marry, she declared. Another report involved a man and his wife performing street acts, like eating grass, to fundraise for their son's medical treatment.
We've been doing this for a week because our child's life can't wait. We come from a rural area in Henan. Our son is 9 years old and has leukemia. We spent over 700,000 yuan since March. And lacking any talents to showcase, we resorted to the most primitive method.
Critics argue that the social insurance system under the Chinese communist regime not only fails to address the challenge of medical access for the general populace, but also seems to benefit the wealthy disproportionately. Social security fees are continuously rising, but when the need arises, the support is insufficient, making many feel that paying these fees is not worthwhile. Especially in rural areas where the cost of medical insurance is skyrocketing, a significant payment dropout trend has emerged. A media report from December 2023 noted that after the fee for 2024's rural and urban residents' basic medical insurance was announced, a villager named Li Hao renewed his 50-year-old father's insurance for 380 yuan. However, he discontinued coverage for the other 7 family members. This is not the first year that Li and his family have opted out. Previously, when the fee was raised to over 200 yuan, his grandparents and parents stopped their contributions, and his wife and 3 children have never been covered. Li remarked that with insurance costs rising annually, covering his entire family would amount to 3,040 yuan, a significant sum that, if no one falls ill, essentially makes the premiums feel wasted. Li's situation is reflective of a broader trend in rural areas across Hebei, Anhui, and Henan provinces, where many villagers have similarly opted out, especially limiting coverage to only the elderly and children. Village officials reported that insurance fees have risen from 10 yuan per person to 380 yuan, imposing a significant financial burden. Li Jun, a village official from the same area, noted that this year saw the sharpest decline in enrollment and the greatest difficulty in collection efforts in years. He said that this year, the general complaint among residents is about the high costs of fees. Amid these challenges, local governments have been pushing villages to achieve a 95% enrollment rate compared to the previous year. However, just days before the deadline, not a single township met this target, with a shortfall of over 50,000 people likely making it impossible to reach the goal. In one extreme case to enforce insurance-free collection, a village committee in Hebei province used the potential future careers of residents' children as leverage, threatening that their prospects in civil service and public sector jobs might be jeopardized without proof of insurance payment. This revelation, highlighted in a chat screenshot from Caoge Zhuang Village Information Group dated December 17, 2023, sparked widespread debate and concern online. A netizen commented, "For civil servants in major cities, medical insurance is a benefit. For the rural citizens, it is just another form of arbitrary fee collection. They are exploiting the vulnerabilities of common people who can't even afford a 300 yuan insurance fee. What has life come to?" Another added, "From birth to adulthood, being constantly manipulated is truly terrifying. The much-touted benefits of medical insurance have finally shown their true colors. Remember, anything they urgently press you for is never good." As healthcare insurance initially gained popularity in China, its waning appeal in rural areas raises crucial questions. The sole reason is the relentless increase in premiums, which has become unaffordable for families with many members, while the reimbursement rates have stagnated. With escalating costs not matched by corresponding benefits, rural citizens are increasingly reluctant to continue paying these premiums. In comparison, urban healthcare insurance systems fare slightly better, but the benefits for urban residents are also on the decline. On the surface, the reimbursement rates for employees, enterprise workers, and civil servants appear unchanged. However, high-quality and imported medicines once covered are progressively being excluded from the reimbursement lists. This trend hints at broader issues evident from healthcare reform policies. In 2009, the Chinese Communist authorities published opinions of the CPC Central Committee and the State Council on deepening the reform of the medical and healthcare system, commonly known as the New Healthcare Reform, which significantly impacted China's healthcare security system. Several academic papers have noted that despite an annual increase in per capita healthcare resources in China following the New Healthcare Reform, there remains a significant disparity between the eastern and western parts of the country and an uneven distribution of healthcare resources within regions. An article published in the Chinese Journal of Public Health in 2017 discussed that China's total healthcare expenditures Gini coefficient first decreased and then increased post-reform, indicating worsening inequities in medical expenses among the general populace. A 2016 interview in the international medical journal The Lancet with medical experts from China and the USA pointed out that since the new healthcare reform, the actual reimbursement rates for hospitalizations have been higher for urban and higher income groups compared to rural and lower income groups, highlighting severe fairness issues in China's medical services. The aforementioned anonymous healthcare professional analyzed that for decades, China's social security net, including healthcare and education, has not operated on a model of redistributing wealth from the rich to the poor, but rather the reverse, exacerbating inequalities under a centralized system. This system tends to redistribute resources towards the government and those within the system, weakening welfare protections for the lower and middle classes, especially in the face of pandemics and economic downturns. Thus, despite the strenuous efforts of parents of children with terminal illnesses, they struggle to bridge the financial gaps caused by healthcare costs. Their plight is merely a microcosm of the challenges faced by ordinary Chinese families under the current economic conditions and social security system. During her recent visit to Beijing, U.S. Secretary of Treasury Janet Yellen aimed primarily to address Sino-American economic and trade issues, but also expressed concerns about the weak consumer spending among Chinese families. The case of the 13-year-old girl from Henan exemplifies a broader issue. If the Chinese government and its healthcare policies do not genuinely benefit its people, aspirations to boost domestic demand and improve the economic situation in China might be wishful thinking.